won't believe what just happened to Snoop Dogg. What started as a routine traffic stop turned into something no one saw coming. The way the officer handled it will leave you absolutely speechless. This isn't just about Snoop, it's about power, respect, and justice clashing in real time, right in the middle of the street. Stay locked in until the very end to see how it all unfolds. You won't regret it. And hey, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and drop a comment letting us know where you're tuning in from. Your support makes all the difference. The sun hung high in the sky, dripping golden light over the quiet streets. It was one of those rare, peaceful mornings when the city felt like it was still stretching, shaking off the night before. Inside a sleek, modern mansion, where glass walls let the sunlight pour in, the soft hum of smooth jazz floated through the air. The vibe? Effortlessly cool. At the heart of it all sat Snoop Dogg, leaned back at his marble countertop, a fresh cup of coffee in hand. His eyes were half-lidded, soaking in the moment, his signature gold chain catching the light as he exhaled slow and easy. Dressed in a crisp white tee, black joggers, and his hair neatly braided, he was the picture of unbothered. Life was good, and today felt like one of those days where nothing could go wrong. The aroma of bacon and eggs still lingered from breakfast, the last bits of his meal sitting warm on the plate beside him. His phone, resting on the table, buzzed endlessly, fans tagging him, sharing memes, hyping up his latest tracks. He smirked, taking it all in. The love was real. Time to hit the streets, he murmured, setting down his cup. Today wasn't about business. No interviews, no press. Just to meet up with old friends at one of his favorite local spots. Days like these were rare, and he cherished them. He stood, stretching his arms, a few joints cracking as he let out a satisfied sigh. His footsteps echoed through the mansion as he made his way to the garage, a shrine of success, lined with platinum records, awards, and framed photos of legends. But the real crown jewel? His Ferrari 488 Pista. Candy red, polished to perfection, it gleamed under the garage lights, every inch of it screaming power and class. This wasn't just a car. It was a statement. A symbol of everything he had built. He ran his fingers across the hood, grinning. All right, baby girl. Time to shine. With a smooth motion, he swung open the driver's side door, eased into the plush leather seat, and pressed the start button. The engine came alive with a deep, thunderous growl, shaking the floor beneath him. The dashboard lit up in red, white, and blue indicators, a cockpit ready for takeoff. As the garage door rolled open, sunlight flooded in. He rolled out slow, the tires whispering against the pavement. Then, as soon as he hit the open road, he gunned it, the Ferrari roared forward, slicing through the streets like a bullet. The city skyline stretched before him, crisp and clear against the bright morning sun. Music blasted through the speakers. Snoop nodded to the beat, his head tilting side to side. The red Ferrari turned heads everywhere. People pointed, cars honked in admiration, fans whipped out their phones to record as he cruised by. "That's Snoop," someone shouted, waving a phone in the air. He shot them a peace sign, keeping it cool as always. Life was good. He knew it. At a red light, he drummed his fingers on the steering wheel, still vibing. Moments like these reminded him why he worked so hard. No stress. No deadlines. Just a man, his car, and the open road. But peace doesn't last forever. As he approached the next intersection, he spotted it, a police cruiser parked at the corner, black and white paint gleaming under the sun. He barely gave it a second thought. No speeding, no reckless driving, just a smooth cruise in his Ferrari. Then the cruiser pulled out. Something about the way it moved set off an alarm in his head. He glanced in the rearview mirror. It was following close. Snoop clenched his jaw. Here we go. Snoop Dogg just got pulled over, and what happened next will leave you speechless. What started as a routine drive turned into a moment that had the whole world watching. You know how these things go, but this time, it played out differently. Stay tuned, because trust me, you won't want to miss this. And don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe, and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. The Ferrari's engine hummed low as Snoop flicked his blinker and made a smooth left turn. The police cruiser followed. "Man, not today," he muttered, shaking his head. "Don't do it, bro. Just don't." Then, red and blue lights flashed. The sharp, high-pitched wail of the siren cut through the street like a blade. "Damn," Snoop exhaled under his breath, his grip tightening on the wheel. His phone, propped up on the dashboard, kept buzzing with notifications, fans tagging him, memes rolling in, but none of that mattered now. He already knew how this could go. He'd seen it too many times. The world had seen it too many times. Play it cool. With a deep breath, he signaled and pulled over, the Ferrari gliding to a stop against the curb. He reached for his phone, tapped open Instagram, and went live. If this went bad, the world was gonna see it. "Y'all see this, right?" Snoop said as the screen filled with his face that was calm, but serious. "Pulled over for nothing. Red Ferrari. Black man. Y'all know the story." The comments blew up instantly. "Not again, man. Stay safe, Snoop. We watching, bro. We got you." Then, the car door swung open. A tall, broad-shouldered officer stepped out, mid-40s, white, shaved head, sunglasses low on his face. The type that looked like he had something to prove. Snoop exhaled slowly. "Here we go." The officer walked up, deliberate and slow, his hand resting a little too close to his taser. When he reached the window, he tapped twice, sharp, firm knocks. Snoop raised an eyebrow, rolling the window down halfway. "Afternoon, officer. Everything all right?" The officer's face was hard, unreadable. His tone? Ice cold. "Step out of the vehicle." Snoop blinked, tilting his head slightly. "Step out? For what, man? I ain't do nothing." "You heard me," the officer repeated, voice even flatter now. "Step out of the vehicle." Snoop glanced at his phone. Thousands were already tuned in. He sighed, shaking his head. "Y'all seeing this, right? Ain't speeding, ain't swerving. Just driving my car. Now he's telling me to step out. For what?" The officer's eyes flicked to the phone, and his jaw tightened. "Turn that off." Snoop smirked, but his eyes stayed locked on the cop. "Nah, officer. I think I'll keep it on." That set him off. The officer's fingers inched closer to his taser. "Step out now, or I'll make you step out." Snoop didn't flinch. Instead, his lips curved into a slow, knowing smile. "Make me." Oh, this dude just messed up. The red Ferrari sat still, its polished hood gleaming in the sun like a burning flame against the pavement. Inside, Snoop sat, calm but alert, watching the officer's every move through the side mirror. "This dude really trying to be a hero today," he muttered, tilting his phone slightly to make sure the live stream had a clear view. The officer's pace was slow, too slow, like he wanted the world to see his authority. His hand hovered near his belt. His sunglasses made it impossible to read his eyes, but the tight line of his lips said enough. He stopped just outside the window, his shadow looming. Tap. Tap. "Roll it down," he barked. Snoop motioned to the half-open window. "Already down, officer." "You good?" The officer leaned in, the scent of cheap aftershave and cigarettes hitting Snoop's nose. His eyes scanned him, not just looking, inspecting. Like he was searching for a reason to escalate. "License and registration." His voice was low, rough, like gravel scraping under a tire. Snoop raised an eyebrow. "For what? What's the reason for the stop?" "You didn't clock me speeding. I wasn't swerving. So what's the reason, huh?" The officer didn't like that. His nostrils flared, head tilting slightly. Then, his finger shot forward, pointing right in Snoop's face. "Don't play games with me, boy. His teeth clenched like he was holding something back. When I tell you to do something, you do it. License. Registration. Now. The live stream exploded. Oh hell no. He just called Snoop boy? This dude's out of line. And Snoop? He just smiled. Because this cop had no idea who he was dealing with. And what happened next? No one was ready for it. You won't believe what just happened to Snoop Dogg. It started as a routine stop, but the way this officer handled it, unbelievable. Watch as power, control, and justice collide in real time. This isn't just about Snoop, it's about all of us. Stay locked in, because what happens next? Nobody was ready for it. And don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment on where you're watching from. Snoop leaned back against the headrest, chuckling under his breath, his eyes narrowing. Yeah, see, I knew where this was going, he muttered. I've seen this before. You got that I need control energy, bro. The officer's face hardened. Don't get cute with me, he shot back. His voice was sharper now, laced with irritation. You ain't special just 'cause you got money and cameras on you. Snoop's eyes flickered with fire. He leaned in slightly, his voice low but firm. Nah, homie. I am special. 'Cause I know my rights. And I know you're supposed to tell me why you pulled me over before you demand anything from me. He lifted his phone higher, the camera aimed dead at the officer's face. You hear that, world? Y'all see this clown trying to flex on me 'cause he mad I'm in a Ferrari? The officer's face twisted in anger as he realized he was live in front of thousands. His hand shot out, grabbing for Snoop's phone. Turn it off. Snoop yanked his hand back, gripping his phone tighter. Don't touch my phone, officer. That's assault. And you know it. The street grew tense. Pedestrians had stopped walking. Eyes wide. Phones out. Recording everything. Across the street, a man in a hoodie held up his camera, zooming in. Whispers turned into shouts. Leave him alone, man. That's Snoop Dogg, bro, you crazy? What'd he do wrong, huh? The officer snapped. He turned to the crowd, eyes flashing with fury. He hated being watched. Hated being questioned. Hated being on camera. Then, his head whipped back to Snoop. Get out of the car. The words weren't a request. They were a threat. Snoop's patience snapped. For what? You still ain't told me why I'm being stopped. His voice rang out, louder now. Y'all hear this, right? No probable cause. No reason. Just get out. Y'all watching this? The live chat exploded. Don't get out, Snoop. They trying to set you up, man. Y'all see how they move when it's a black man with money? The officer leaned in, lips inches from the window, breath thick with stale coffee and something metallic. His face was twisted in a scowl, teeth clenched so tight a vein pulsed at his temple. I said, get out of the car. His voice was low. Dangerous. I'm not gonna say it again. The sidewalk went silent. The crowd wasn't yelling anymore. They were watching. Eyes darting between Snoop and the officer like they were waiting for a bomb to go off. Snoop flexed his fingers against the steering wheel. He knew exactly what this was. Control. Power. Authority. This cop wasn't after justice. He was after submission. Slowly, Snoop set his phone in the cup holder, angling it to still catch everything. He wasn't about to be another name in a headline. Not today. Look, officer. You want me out? I'll get out. He exhaled, voice steady. But I'ma tell you this, you better hope that body cam on your chest is recording every second. 'Cause when this video goes live, the whole world's gonna see you. The officer's face darkened. Then, bang. His palm slammed against the window. Get out now, or I'll drag you out myself. Snoop raised his hand slowly, palms open. All right. Calm down, bro. You want to feel powerful? I get it. You want to feel big? You got it. I'm coming out. He reached for the door handle. The officer stepped back, his hand still hovering near his taser. Snoop stepped out, hands raised. See? Look at that. His voice carried over the street, loud enough for the crowd to hear. I'm out. Hands up. Ain't no threat. Now what, officer? What you got next for me, huh? The crowd erupted. He's cooperating. Leave him alone. Y'all see this? He did everything you asked. The officer's breathing was heavy now, his chest heaving, his fingers twitching near his taser. For a second, it looked like he might grab it. But instead, he shoved Snoop hard against the Ferrari. Hands on the car. Spread your legs. Snoop's patience snapped. For what? What's the charge, huh? His voice boomed over the street. What law did I break? The officer didn't answer. Instead, he grabbed Snoop's wrist, twisted it back. Snap. Cold metal cuffs bit into his skin. The crowd lost it. He didn't do nothing. We recording this, bro. That's Snoop, man. Are you crazy? The officer yanked Snoop's head down, pressing it against the cool metal hood of the Ferrari. You're under arrest, he growled. Snoop gritted his teeth. Resisting what, huh? I didn't resist nothing. Y'all hear this, right? Y'all see this live? The officer smirked. You think you're untouchable, he whispered. I promise you, you just messed up your whole life. We'll see about that, superstar. The Ferrari's hood was cold against Snoop's cheek. His gold chain was pinned uncomfortably against his neck, pressing hard into his skin. His heart pounded in his chest, but his face? Calm. Still. Like a predator studying its opponent. You know you're making a mistake, right? Snoop muttered, his voice muffled against the smooth metal. Whole world watching you right now, partner. Whole world. The officer's grip on his wrist tightened, yanking his arms higher behind his back. A sharp jolt of pain shot through his shoulders. Shut up, the cop hissed through clenched teeth. You think I care about your cameras? Think I care about your little followers out here? I'm the one in charge. Snoop winced, but he refused to give the man the satisfaction of seeing him flinch. His eyes flicked to the side, catching the crowd forming on the sidewalk. Phones were up. Cameras rolling. Capturing every second. And the energy? It was shifting. Fast. From shock to outrage. He ain't doing nothing, man. That's Snoop Dogg. Y'all trying to end your whole career today? You can't treat him like this. He ain't a criminal. The officer's eyes twitched toward the crowd. For the first time, he saw just how many phones were pointed at him. His face twisted with frustration. He yanked Snoop upright and spun him around, locking eyes with him. You think they can save you? The officer's voice was a snarl. You think those phones mean anything to me? I've been doing this job 15 years, boy. I know how to make problems disappear. The word boy hit different. It wasn't just a word. It was a weapon. A declaration. A reminder of control. But Snoop? He wasn't about to bow his head. You been on the job 15 years, he shot back, locking eyes with him, and still ain't learned nothing. The officer's face flushed red. You think this power you got is forever? Huh? Watch how quick it disappear when I'm done with you. The cop's breathing changed. He was losing control. And he knew it. Back up. The officer barked at the bystanders, waving his arm. Back up, or you're all getting locked up for obstruction. Nobody moved. Lock us up for what? "You the one breaking the law," a woman shouted, holding her phone high. "We got you on camera, clown. Hope you like unemployment." The officer's eyes darted around. His breathing got heavier. His frustration boiled over, and then, snap. His attention locked back onto Snoop. On the ground. Now. He shoved Snoop toward the pavement. Hard. Snoop barely caught himself, his knees hitting the concrete. His jaw tightened. "You really think this is gonna go how you want it to, huh?" he muttered. The officer didn't answer. Instead, his boot pressed down on Snoop's back. Hard. The weight of it made it hard to breathe. The crowd gasped. "Yo, what the hell is wrong with you, man? He's on the ground already. Bro, ain't nobody resisting. Get his badge number." Phones zoomed in. "Badge 2276. Got it." But the officer wasn't listening. His hands were rough as he gripped Snoop's wrists, the cold steel of the cuffs biting deep into his skin. Tighter than necessary. Too tight. "Ain't no reason for this, man," Snoop said, his voice calm, but firm. "I ain't fighting. I ain't running. I'm laying right here like you asked. So why you still trying to prove something?" The officer's breath hitched. He leaned in, his voice a hiss. "Because I can." Snoop's eyes narrowed. His breath came slow. Controlled. "Yeah," he muttered, voice low, dangerous. "And that's exactly why you about to lose everything." The officer's knee dug in deeper. "You think you're untouchable?" he sneered. "Money. Fame. All that don't mean nothing out here." "Out here? I'm God." Snoop's eyes flicked to the crowd. To the cameras. To the world watching. Then, he smirked. "Nah," he breathed. His voice steady. Unshaken. "God watching too, homie. And you about to learn that the hard way." The officer laughed. A short, cold sound that sent a chill through the air. His hand pressed down harder, pinning Snoop against the rough concrete. "I told you to shut up." His voice was a snarl. "You ain't special, boy." The words cut. Sharp as broken glass. The crowd erupted. "He's down, man. Get off him. He can't breathe, bro. You see this? You see this?" Snoop's heart pounded in his chest. His teeth clenched. The pain was sharp now. His body burned under the weight of the officer's knee. But his eyes? They never blinked. And the world? It was still watching. "Keep recording," Snoop muttered through clenched teeth, his breath shallow. "We got you, Snoop." "We ain't stopping," the crowd called back. Then, sirens. 3 more squad cars rounded the corner, their flashing lights cutting through the city like fire. Tires screeched as officers poured out. The cop on Snoop smirked. "Backup's here. You're done now, superstar." But one of the new arrivals, a younger officer with sharp eyes, took in the scene. His gaze flicked from Snoop, pinned to the pavement, to the sea of raised phones. "Hey! What's going on here?" he demanded. The first officer straightened, faking authority. Suspect was resisting. Had to bring him down. The young officer narrowed his eyes. "Resisting, huh? You sure about that?" He looked at the cameras, at the crowd. "You sure you want to lie right now, bro?" For a moment, the first cop froze. Then, footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Commanding. Captain Bryant. The crowd murmured his name. A man of respect. A man who didn't play games. Bryant's voice cut through the tension like a blade. "What in the hell is going on here?" Officer Miller, the cop who had Snoop restrained, turned, his confidence melting. "Everything's under control, Captain." But the shake in his voice said otherwise. Bryant's cold stare landed on Snoop, still cuffed, still calm. Then he looked at the crowd, their phones still rolling. "You call this under control?" Bryant's voice was low, dangerous. He stepped closer. "Explain to me why you got Snoop Dogg cuffed on the side of the road, in front of all these people." Miller blinked. His eyes darted, looking for an exit. He refused to exit the vehicle. Resisted commands had to be restrained. Bryant didn't flinch. He let the words hang before turning to the crowd. "Any of y'all see him resist?" "No," someone shouted instantly. "We got it all on camera, Cap." The captain raised a hand, silencing the crowd. Then, eyes locked on Miller, he spoke with quiet fury. "Did he resist, or did you just need to feel important today?" Miller's face turned red. His grip on Snoop's wrist loosened. He glanced at the other officers, but none of them backed him. "Captain, I was just following protocol." "Shut up." Bryant's voice cracked through the air like a whip. Miller flinched. His authority? Gone. "Uncuff him. Now." The crowd erupted. "You heard him, bro. Take them off." "Do it, coward." Miller hesitated, then, with shaking hands, fumbled for the key. The cuffs snapped open. Snoop rolled his shoulders, rubbing his wrists. His eyes locked on Miller. "Bet that didn't feel good, huh?" Miller's breath was shallow, his face burning with humiliation. He glanced at his fellow officers, but they all stared straight ahead. He was alone now. "Captain, if I may," Miller started. Bryant cut him off. "No. You may not." He stepped in close, eyes sharp as steel. "You just embarrassed this department in front of the entire world." Miller swallowed hard. "That badge you're hiding behind?" Bryant's voice was ice. "It's about to be taken off you." The crowd erupted. Cheering. Clapping. Chanting. Snoop leaned against his Ferrari, rubbing his wrists, a slow smile forming. "Y'all saw it, right?" he said to the live streaming phone. "Now watch what happens next." The reckoning. As Miller stood frozen, Bryant held out his hand. "Give me your badge, Officer Miller." Miller's mouth opened, but no words came out. His eyes darted wildly. Now. The moment stretched long. Then, with clenched fists, Miller ripped the badge from his chest and slammed it into Bryant's palm. Bryant didn't even blink. "Now get in your car. Drive straight to Internal Affairs. Tell them Captain Bryant sent you." Miller hesitated, but one look at the crowd, at the cameras, and he knew. His career was over. He turned, face pale, and walked to his cruiser. Every step heavier than the last. The crowd exploded. "Justice, baby. You done, boy." Snoop ain't just a rapper, he a movement. As Miller's car disappeared, Snoop turned to Bryant. "You good?" the captain asked, his voice softer now. Snoop nodded. "Yeah, Cap. I'm good now." But he ain't. Bryant's jaw tightened. "No. He ain't." The street buzzed with energy. The world had just witnessed a shift in power. The fallout. By the next morning, it was everywhere. CNN. MSNBC. TMZ. Trending worldwide. Snoop's phone buzzed nonstop. "Snoop, you just broke the internet." Carla's voice was electric with excitement. "Oh, I know." Snoop smirked, scrolling through the headlines. Officer Miller on administrative leave after viral video. Then, a text from a journalist. Body cam footage leaked. It's bad. Real bad. Snoop opened the file. There it was. Every second. The threats. The aggression. And then, the moment that sealed it. Miller's voice, caught on tape. "These guys think they own the streets just 'cause they got money. Gotta remind him who's in charge." And then, the word that killed his career. You ain't special, boy. Snoop hit pause. Silence. Then, he hit share. Here's your protect and serve. Hashtag Fire Miller, hashtag justice for Snoop. His phone exploded. The internet? On fire. Minutes later, another call. Snoop, Miller's out. Precinct wants you to file an official complaint. Snoop leaned back, grinning. Oh, I'm showing up in person. Oh, you showing up? Carla laughed. Damn right. They ain't ready for this. The final word. Snoop went live one last time. Thousands flooded in. He stared straight into the camera. Y'all thought it was just a traffic stop? His voice was smooth, but dangerous. Nah. This is a movement. And we ain't turning back. The chat exploded. Fire emojis. Fists raised. The world watching. And just like that, the game changed.